Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Today, we are at the Fleming Museum of Art, the University of Vermont. And this museum houses the most comprehensive collection of art and anthropological artifacts in the state. And exhibitions here feature contemporary and historic art from around the world. It's all accessible to teachers and learners of all ages, including opportunities for students in grades K through 12. To learn more, I am joined here by the museum's director, Janie Cohen. This is great. Thank you so much for hosting us in this beautiful museum. I love this place.
Happy to have you here.
So let's start a little bit with the history of this beautiful building. And what was it always affiliated with the university?
Absolutely. So the collections predated the museum. So the University of Vermont began collecting in 1827, which was very early. They put together collections that initially were more in the line of natural history in two other locations on campus. Art was added to that mix, and the collections outgrew where they had been. So the university built the Fleming in 1931 for the museum to house the collections, and it was very unusual in that for a university museum to open it and offer it as much to the community as to the academic community was really unusual. And from the very get-go, it was, there were public programs for all ages, all year, and it was hailed as a place of practical learning.
Right, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I felt it's always a part of the community,
Yeah.
that I felt very welcome here.
Good.
So why the Robert Hull Fleming Museum? Who was this man?
So Robert Hull Fleming was a UVM alum who also grew up in Burlington and then left for Chicago and he earned his fortune in the grain industry. He had no children. His sole heir was his niece, Catherine Walcott. And she came back to UVM in the late 20s with the money that she had inherited from her uncle and the desire to establish a scholarship in his name. So the university had already begun thinking about a museum, and so because he had traveled the world with his niece, and was very kind of culturally attuned and interested, so the university suggested a museum, and so that was the beginning of it.
Fantastic, and she added a little bit more, which really covered.
She did, and then there was a very important other donor as well, Thomas Wilbur, and those two gifts together really constituted the philanthropy that made it possible.
Right, $300 or $400 grand for this amazing place. Okay, that was
deal.
back in the day. So it's been nearly almost 90 years,
right?
Since the opening. Beautiful. So you've been director here.
Almost 90 years. No, I'm sorry.
Since 2002, you were here before then as curator, but director. Tell us a little bit about your professional background.
So my background is art history from the beginning. My undergraduate degree is art history, University of Michigan, and then I received my master's from the Institute of Fine Arts at NYU. So I consider myself a generalist. I have a broad interest in art history. My area of specialization and where I have really published the most is in Picasso studies. But this kind of museum is perfect for for someone with more generalist interests because of our collection and the size.
Right, and you still are a renowned scholar of Picasso, which is a great thing for this museum. So, how would you describe this museum today?
So it remains the primary collection of art and anthropological material at this point.
So by anthropological material, what are we talking about?
So that is
here?
cultural material. It is not. It is cultural material, some of which was made as art, but a lot of it was made for use, actually. So it really is, it not like what we're surrounded in this gallery, objects made to be put on the wall, but objects that were made that came out of various cultures, for utilitarian purposes, yeah.
So tell us a little bit, you also have changing exhibits,
Yes.
exhibitions every semester, so tell us a little bit about that.
So the exhibition program is almost as broad as our collections are. So they cover both historical and contemporary and shows that are more scholarly and some that are kind of more popular. Many are curated in-house, some are brought in as traveling exhibitions, some are curated by students, like the Resist show downstairs. So it's a very broad exhibitions program, and over the course of a year, we really try to shape it so that there is, something for a wide range of interests.
Yeah, great. And you also have a dedicated New England gallery. So is that a specialty, or tell us a little bit about that?
So that is, just by dint of the gifts that have come in over the years, we have a very strong collection of art created in New England. And so the balcony in the Marble Court features New England, and to be honest, most of them are actually Vermont artists. But it's a little broader than that. And then part of the balcony program every year is something that we call Contemporary Voices of Vermont. So we generally have 2 works, sometimes 3, that are created by contemporary artists, but are also kind of in more formal traditions, whether it be landscape or still life. Some are almost abstract, but still have connections to those genres.
So that's circulation changes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And how does the museum involve or engage UVM students? Is it just art students?
Not at all. So we have students from really across a wide range of disciplines that interact with us. The sciences, the STEM disciplines, medicine, as well as the humanities. And the way they participate with the museum is really wide range. So beginning with our incredibly dedicated gallery guard staff, work study students, about 70 per semester. But also we have interns in all of our departments. We have classes that come in, and they can do anything from simply come in for a tour with us or a tour with their faculty member. They can request objects from storage that be brought out in the seminar room for them to study. They write papers, they do research projects. But it has gotten over the years more and more more embedded in what we do, so that now there are several courses that actually the students in it curate exhibitions. So the current show, Insist, Resist, Persist, Resist, Insist, Persist. Yeah. It was curated by an art history class under the leadership of our curatorial staff and Kelly Helmstetler-Taddeo in the art department. So those students have the opportunity to really go through the entire curatorial process.
And you're making those connections for them.
Exactly.
So I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but as something that impresses me as the director of the state's largest art institution, I think it's interesting that you're also an exhibiting artist yourself. It's something that you keep very much under the radar. But I would think that creating art also connects you to the heart of what you do, and that's very important.
I think that is true, and in a number of ways. I mean, everything that we do, curating is a creative activity. The Fleming Museum, it has a staff of creative thinkers. If you look at the artistic process, it includes research, conceptualization, problem solving, and a dose of instinct. And all of those things are what I do in my job from day to day, and I feel, and we all do, and I feel like the more of an artist's mind anyone can bring to what they do in any field, the better. And I do feel like we are a staff of really creative thinkers. So.
Well, and you try to, in your events that you do and bringing K-12 through, tell us a little bit about those programs, because you also instill that in people that visit here.
Yes. And the younger the better is our feeling. So K through 12, we have a very creative education staff, new education staff, and I am really excited about the single gallery and thematic tours that we're offering, which a lot of them connect to curriculum, K through 12 curriculum, whether it's in the sciences or humanities. But there are other tours that focus on questions like, how did this object get here? Or is this art? Why is this art? Mm-hmm. Or things like, shapes and patterns, in various cultures. So What that does is it brings kids in, around a theme, but then the conversations come out of their observations and their interests, and then the information about the objects and its materials and its culture and its history and its, the information it carries is woven in by our educators. So it's a really kind of a holistic experience and very exciting for kids. And any tour can be followed up by an art activity in our classroom as well.
So you also do this for adults.
Absolutely.
And you also are open to the community with your lectures and readings and
everything.
Movies and
absolutely, and visits. I mean, we're open to everyone, absolutely. But yeah, our programs range from very, very diverse, from artist talks and workshops and demonstrations and performances, lectures. So we tie in, we tie a lot of different kinds of presentations and programs to the art that we're showing in a variety of ways.
Fantastic. So Janie Cohen, how can visitors learn more or contact the museum so they can come visit?
FlemingMuseum.org or call us at 656-0750, and we're happy to answer any kinds of questions.
Okay, wonderful. Janie Cohen, thank you so much for hosting us here at the Fleming Museum.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard.